Hi guys, welcome to week 5. I'm just going to make a video overviewing the discussions for week 5. I'm here on the home page for my Tuesday class, and there are 2 discussions. And the purpose of week 5 is to go deeper into textual analysis, rhetorical analysis. We have 2 different readings that we're going to engage in. We're engaging in our 2 texts, the Little Sequel Handbook, and also They Say, I Say, which is our primary text. It's the foundation for how we're going to learn to understand reading and writing, and how we're going to adopt the techniques that are used and the strategies that are used in that textbook to engage in an academic conversation. So here we go. The first discussion is just a review of what we've already gone over, the rhetorical analysis and framework. It's worded a bit differently. So here we're looking at Little Sequel Handbook, the section titled Rhetorical Analysis. I've attached a PDF here if you want to take a look at it if you don't have your handbook. So you can just use this one if you'd like. Let's see if I can pull it up. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to rotate it. But this is a section, and this is an old edition, so it says Textual Analysis. The newer one says Rhetorical Analysis, but it's the same content. So this is going to go over some of the things that we've already looked at, so paying attention to the audience and really what to look for in a text. The cool thing about this section is your next essay is a rhetorical analysis, so you're going to go deeper into looking at the moves that a writer makes. And so this section here is overviewing how you would write a rhetorical analysis essay. It's super useful. So again, that's the reading for this particular discussion. You're going to read over it, and you're going to post a paragraph, 5 to 7 sentences, to the discussion, but your task is to actually pull a quote from this section that we're reading, and you're going to anchor it in. So you're going to sandwich it. And They Say, I Say, they talk about sandwiching quotes. So oftentimes when you use a quote, you want to make sure, sometimes what people will accidentally do is just throw a quote into their essay. So with this particular framework, we're learning to integrate it in to where it flows with what you're trying to say. And so we're calling that a sandwich. So remember, a sandwich has 2 pieces of bread and then whatever's in the middle. So in this case, the quote is in the middle, and then we have your words on the outside. So I have an example here for you, so you can look over it. And what you're going to do is you're going to post your own quote sandwich. So you have to pull a quote from the reading, this reading here. So say you find something super interesting like, you'll need to support your analysis with evidence from the text itself and sometimes from other sources. If you pull that quote, you would reference the page that it comes from, and then again, like the sample, you would anchor it in by introducing the quote first, setting it up, planting the quote, and then commenting on the quote. So what's super useful is the templates for writing. Again, I've attached those, but those are in the back of They Say, I Say book. But you're going to pull some of these templates. So it would be introducing an ongoing debate, introducing a quote here, introducing quotations. You can use any of these little Mad Libs, and then you're going to explain the quote afterwards. So you can play with language and see what suits you, see what kind of style you like, and then you're going to post yours here. So that's the first discussion. Pretty easy, really good practice though. Remember, I'm grading you based on your ability to follow the directions with regards to how long your paragraph is, the length of it, also the development of it, and then don't forget here, super important, read and respond to at least one other student's post. You're engaging in ideas. And if you want to offer advice for how they can anchor their quote sandwiching a bit more, then do that. It's very helpful to look at other people's writing to learn about your own writing style. Going back to the home page, the other discussion is when we're going to start engaging in They Say, I Say. So we're demystifying academic conversation. So there's a link to the PDF. If you go down here, you can see it. Just click on it so you have it in case you do not have your textbook. Oops, there's an issue with it. Let me see if I can click here. Okay, so here we go. So we're scrolling down. Close your eyes in case you get vertigo. But we're going to look at the introduction in class this week, and then there's a preface right before you do the reading. The preface is here, so it's demystifying academic conversation. So again, you're going to read and annotate, take notes on this chapter, So here is your task. You're going to read it, and then you're going to hop onto the discussion board and share your thoughts on the preface by considering the following question. What was the most significant line or idea that stood out to you that you found in this section? In other words, what is one piece of advice that you find useful? And then you're going to share it on the discussion. And here's an example of what that looks like. So you're going to put the quote in MLA, just like you did for the other discussion, and tell us why you found it relevant. And then, again, make sure you're reading and responding to someone else's post. So I have an example here for you from that specific chapter, and this is how you would quote it. Remember, you have your quotation marks, introduce your sentence first, cite with the parenthetical citation. This throws people off. Remember, we're practicing. You should be much better at it by the end of the semester after you've done your research paper. But this is just basically kind of like a focused free write where you hone it in. And again, you're posting to the discussion and you're responding to one other person. So that is what's happening in class. What we're going to do is we're going to go over the Rhetorical Analysis essay number 2 assignment. So we're just going to look very briefly at the prompt. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. Just as a kind of reminder to kind of front load you just a bit. So I'm pulling up the syllabus. If you scroll down, past all the grading, past the reading response, past the essay number 1 that you already did last week, you'll find essay number 2, Rhetorical Analysis. And so you're going to choose one of the readings that we'll have gone over in the next couple weeks, and you're going to offer a rhetorical analysis of it. So start thinking about which of these readings you find inspiring. As you start reading them, you'll be connecting to them personally, and then you'll be writing a whole essay in response to it, analyzing it very, very methodically and looking very deep into the kind of craft of the writer, the moves that the writer is making, and whether or not the actual piece is rhetorically effective at conveying whatever message it's trying to give you. And so the questions you want to consider are, is this piece rhetorically effective? What is the ethos, logos, and pathos? How do they shape the experience you had while reading it? And then in what ways does it succeed, and in what ways does it fail to convince you of its point? So again, you're going to keep those questions in mind. We'll talk a little bit about it in class, and here are the requirements for grading. So similar to essay number 1, but we're pushing it a little bit farther. So again, these are your options. If you look back at the discussions, you'll see that we're reading over these in class a little bit. You're reading over them on your own. And then we're going to break them down before we start analyzing them. So that is what's happening for week 2. Just as a side note, I will be giving you a justice reading packet in class this week, week 5. If for some reason you miss class, the actual copy of the packet is here in PDF form for your convenience, and is a good overview about the topic that we're moving into that's kind of setting the framework for the class, which is justice. And so we have these philosophical viewpoints on what is justice, kind of different definitions and interpretations of justice. So again, all rhetoric based, and then we're going to jump into the readings. We've got Henry David Thoreau's piece called Civil Disobedience, which is quite lengthy and very interesting, very relevant in today's political world, even though it's an old reading, which is often the case. The next one is Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail, which is also a great example of mastery of rhetoric and art of persuasion. And then the last piece is a scholar who's not as well known to us, but well known in the world, is Martha Nussbaum, The Central Human Function Capabilities. And so we're going to be reading these 3 readings. The packet, again, is here listed just below the syllabus. So that is what's happening week 5. If you have any questions, make sure that you go to the discussion board and you post them here in our town hall discussion forum. That way, if you have a question and someone else has it, we can kind of answer it at the same time. You're going to click here and you're going to post your question. So again, thank you for viewing. Hope you have a great week 2.